All right. Very good morning. Very good evening, everyone. Welcome to this demo sessions. As we announced today and tomorrow, I'll be conducting these two demo sessions, followed by we'll continue with our regular classes as per the schedule. All right. So I'll just quickly go over uh, what we planned, what's the course content, course timings, and then few of the technical discussions. And meantime, anyone has any questions and queries, please feel free to unmute yourself and post your questions, or you can use the chat window as well to post your questions. Right. So I think you already might have gone through uh, a course curriculum or the course timing. So we'll be starting three courses in next 1.5 month: a database course, rack course, and performance tuning course. Uh, Database and rack will be conducting a very long time from last 5 years. Performance tuning for the first time will be launching it out in December. That's the most important training I can say, because so far all the students who are completed database course and rack course, they will be keep asking me when I'm gonna start this performance tuning course. Uh, Finally, I'm able to make some time and then I'll be starting it in December. Stay tuned for that. I'll share more details in next 1 or 2 weeks. All right. So with that, I can quickly let's continue with the current demo sessions on the database course here. Uh, these are the two demo sessions today and tomorrow, 20th October, 21st October, this Monday and Tuesday. I'll be conducting these two demo sessions. Feel free to join tomorrow as well, the same timing. Uh, in EST timings, uh, it will be 19th October and 20th October. That will be Sunday and Monday, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. or 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Uh, Basically, I'll be conducting only 2 hours of demo sessions, but actual classes will be of 3 hours every day. So again, this is the Zoom link what we're using here for the demo session. And then this is your actual course curriculum. Hope you already gone through this course curriculum. I'm gonna go over in a minute about this entire course curriculum here. Right, this is about the course curriculum. And then once these demo sessions are done, we'll be starting our actual courses, starting with 3rd November. 3rd November 2025, that's a Monday. The timing will be of 3 hours, 8:30 to 11:30, 3 hours is our regular classes. And in EST time zone, in Eastern time zone, it will be 2nd November 2025, Sunday. The timing will be 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. So that's about the actual course starting date and time. And this batch is a weekdays. So we'll be conducting this database course only on the weekdays. That will be Monday and Tuesday, only 2 days in a week. And that will be Sunday and Monday in EST, 1 day behind. That is the 12 hours of behind in EST time zone. So in IST it will be 11:30 to, sorry, 8:30 to 11:30, 3 hours. And in EST time zone it will be at 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. That will be midnight, late night for them. I know this is very difficult for EST time zone, but still, if you're able to make it, you can try to attend live sessions. If you are not able to attend live sessions, no worries. You can refer the recordings. Everyday sessions will be recorded and you can still watch the recordings, and then you can connect with me if you have any further questions and queries post watching that demo sessions or the recording sessions. Right, so we'll be able to complete in 7 weeks. So if you just roughly calculate 7 weeks, in a week we'll be conducting 6 hours of trainings. So 6 into 7 roughly comes around 40-45 hours. That's the course duration. And this is about the paid training. We'll be having Indian rupees 10K. 10K is your course fees, and it will be 125 US dollar. And then we'll be conducting over a Zoom sessions uh, via live Zoom sessions, and this will be based upon Oracle 19c version. And then in last few days, I did get some questions, some queries. We'll be able to, you know, take some sessions on 21C, 23C, and 23 AI, 26 AI. Yeah, we can be able to make some sessions on that, but that is not a completely production yet, right? Like no customers are running their databases in 23 or 26 AI as of now, because that will be of a standalone, no rack support, and so many other restrictions are there. But few features, new enhancement, we can take it up. But right now, this course will be based upon 19C, and also we'll be covering some of the basics, some of the differences as and when it comes to with the comparison 11G, 12C, and 19C. We'll be comparing all the previous versions, the differences, what new feature came in 19C, and also at the same time we can take some sessions on what is new in 21C and 23C AI and other stuff. Right, that's about the timing, duration, fee structures, and the date. And then most important uh, question: who can attend this course? What are the minimum requirement? And then what are the advantages? So who can attend this course? Anyone can attend this course because the course curriculum what we formed. I'm just going to cover the course curriculum in a minute. So this course curriculum is basically covers everything from the basics till advanced level. So anyone can join this course. You are a fresher or you just finished your graduation and you're looking for a job, or you are already working professional having 5 years, 10 years of experience or 15 years of experience, doesn't matter. You can still attend this course because this course, whatever we formed, which covers from the basics till the advanced level. As a DBA, for any client or customer, if you want to, cover as a DBA, like what are the day-to-day activities, what all the activities or what all the job roles you're supposed to be delivering to any client as a DBA, all those roles and responsibilities will be covered in this course. Once you complete this course and do your hands-on experience and study this uh, course in and out, so you should be able to support as a DBA to any client. And because of that fact, anyone can attend this course with a zero experience or as a fresher or as a working professional already having experience. Doesn't matter. You still enroll this course and then continue with this course. This is suitable for you guys. And if you know the basics of Windows operating system, basics of Linux operating system, like how to log in, how to have a basic Linux command cd, mkdir, how to go to Windows C drive, D drive, how to open the program. If you know the basics of how to handle the Windows and Linux, that's a added advantages. If you don't know, you may feel some difficulties in the initial days. As and when you continue with the course, then you can able to catch up the things and you will be up to date. But for the initial few days, you will be having some difficulties if you don't know these basics, Linux and Windows. Windows is must. Windows, you need to know how to log in, how to go to C drive, D drive, how to search where you installed program, where you downloaded a file. So all those basic stuff you should be aware of that. And the Linux, again, as and when we continue with this course, we'll be covering some of the basics commands and basics are needed, whatever the basic need for the DBAs, all those Linux commands, everything will be covered along with this course. And basics of SQLs. So that is again must if you know the SQL command, how to run SQL queries and all. So this course will become very easy. If you don't know the basics of SQLs, again, we'll be continuing with this course. What is needed as a SQL commands and all those things we can cover it. But if you practice some of the things, Then some of the things in advance or some of the things as and when we continue with the course, you can continue with studying the SQL commands and queries. Then this course will be very easy. And if you don't know the SQL, still don't worry. So as and when we continue with this course, I'll be covering the basics of SQLs, and I'll be sharing some documents about basics of SQLs and some recordings. And same thing for the Linux basics of SQ basics of Linux, some of the recordings and some of the documentation which are available in our Google Drive. You can put some effort and go through all those documents, and then you can study along with this course. So those are like must requirement. And then more than that, how I am going to do a lab practice. So again, lab practice will be done on your individual laptop or the desktop. You'll be setting up of your virtual boxes, and you'll be setting up of your databases on your own laptop or desktop. For that, you should have this minimum requirement: Windows laptop or desktop with a 10 GB RAM and then 100 GB SSD hard disk. So if you have this requirement or this setup with this hard disk or this hardware with a 10 GB RAM and 100 GB SSD hard disk, then you should be able to set up lab on your own. I'll be instructing you or I'll be guiding you how to do a lab setup. So if you don't have this minimum hardware requirement, you have only 4 GB, 6 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM, I don't have SSD hard disk, then you'll not be able to do a lab setup. You'll be able to practice it, or you'll be able to see whatever I'm showing the demo, whatever I'm showing the live sessions, and then you'll be able to catch up the things. But you'll not be able to do a hands-on lab exercise if you don't have this minimum hardware requirement, right? So I'll take a pause here for a minute. Anyone has any questions around the fee structures or the course timings or the schedules or the minimum requirement? Anyone has any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and post your questions here. All right. No questions, I believe.
Sorry,
Yeah,
can
go
we
ahead.
manage with the 8 GB RAM?
8 GB RAM, no. So once you have 8 GB RAM, so your VM will crash. You'll be able to do a setup, and your setup, the moment you start installation, it may take 2 hours or 3 hours. And then even though if you're able to successfully set up your lab may get crash in 1 or 2 days. That will be very,
Okay,
very difficult with 8 GB RAM.
okay, thank you.
All right, guys. Give me one more minute. We'll go to the next one, that is the course curriculum. All right. So now let's say you are you understood about the course timings, the course start date, and the fee structures and the minimum requirement. Now let's go to this a course curriculum. What all the content will be covered with this particular course? As I mentioned here, one of the pre-requirement, who can attend this course? I mentioned anyone can attend this course because, as I told, this course is formed based upon my real-time experience as a DBA, as a rack expert. I worked almost 15 years in this IT industry as a core Oracle DBA, and with based upon my learnings, I formed this course curriculum content. As a DBA, what all the day-to-day activities you are supposed to deliver, day-to-day activities you are supposed to handle. Based upon my experience, I put down all those content and then formed this particular course. So this course curriculum, let's start with the this course curriculum will start with the environmental setup, where we'll understand the how to set up your VMs, And there's a various method. You can set up your VMs by your own with ISO image. You can download the ready VMs, and we'll understand the how this virtualization works, VMware workstation, and how you're gonna install your VM. So we'll start with the VM and some other tools like WinSCP, Putty, MobileXterm, how to access those VMs, the terminal sessions, how to take a remote sessions, and then how to set up your M packages for the RPM installation. We'll set up our environment, and parallelly along with the VM setup, we'll do network setup, the DNS, DHCP, name server, IP address, and net mask. All we can able to help how to get those all the IPs and how can assign your IPs, the static IPs and dynamic IPs. So we'll do this networking setup and the VM setup. When the networking setup and VM setup is done, we'll start with the installation. So we'll start with the 19C software installation, and at the same time for the 11G and 12C, what's the difference in the installation? I'm going to show a quick demo on that. What's the difference? What is there in 19C? What is not there in 11G and 12C? We'll do a quick comparison, and then this installation will be purely based upon 19C. So you can either go with the GUI installation or silent mode installation. Silent mode installation is a manual installation with a command line. A GUI one is a fully automated graphical user interface, just a UI interface. You just need to put your options and then go next, 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 and install your database software. When the database software is installed, then you can go and then create your database. So creation of database is either you can go with the manual with the silent command line, or you can go with the GUI mode run installer. Again, this database installation will be covered with the 19C. At the same time, again, you can compare your 11G and 12C. What's the difference? So here, this when it comes to installation itself, if I put down those installation steps, that installation will be with various options. Let's go with here. I want to do a installation. So this right hand side here, it's a rack, completely rack installation, so will not be covered in this course. Whatever this left hand side is for standalone installation will be covered in this particular course. So what is there here? So if I this rack part I'm not going to explain. Let's say here in the left hand side, which is about our standalone database installation, which will be covered in this course. So you can install the standalone or the single instance or Oracle restart, all are one and same, referring to one single server and single database and single instance. You can install your database on the local file system, or you can install your database on the raw or NFS or the SAN or OCFS disk, or you can install your database on the ASM disk. So what will be covered in this course: database on ASM, database on file system. Again, database on raw, NFS or OCFS is the same as this file system. Both are same. Only this file system is difference here. So we'll be covered this particular section and this section in this particular course. So you can install with the OUI mode, the GUI mode, Oracle Universal Installer. You can install your database and Oracle Home together, or you can install Oracle Home first and database next. Both you can do separately. Or you can install your database silently with the command line, Oracle Home installation and database creation. Or you can do both together. Oracle Home installation plus database creation together you can do it. How we do here Oracle Home and database together with OUI. Silent mode also you can do Oracle Home and database together. Or you can go individually Oracle Home and database. When it comes to ASM, first we'll install ASM, and after we install ASM, you can go with the database home installation and database creation separately, or you can go with the Oracle Home and database both together in one command. Or even you can go with the silent mode. With the silent mode, again you can go with the Oracle Home and database together, or Oracle Home and database separately. All are possible. Like in installation itself, there will be multiple combinations, and you can explore all of those options. Again, those options exploration will come into picture once you understand the core fundamental how installation works and what is this Oracle home software, what is the database, and once you're able to understand all the core fundamental understanding, so you should able to play around this. You can do a different combinations and you can do a different way of installation and whichever you feel comfortable and then you can make it as a standard practice. Right, so will be covered here in this first a few lessons here, and followed by we'll start with architecture. So we'll start with this 19C architecture on this chapter number 6 here. So again, at the same time, if there's any differences between 11G and 12C, will be just shown or covered. What's the difference between this 11G, 12C, and 19C? And then most of the course will be continued with the 19C only, but as and when there's a need, then only I'll compare with the 11G and 12C. Otherwise, will not be covered anything on the 11G and 12C. Right. So this is a very, very important chapter here on the architecture part. As a DBA, you should understand this 19th architecture in such a way that if anyone asks you any questions around this architecture, you should be able to answer it without any single thought. And even in the midnight, if somebody wake you up and then ask you about Oracle architecture, you should be able to explain it in brief, explain it in thorough, in depth. So if you're able to do this this level of understanding in the architecture, then you can able to support or you can able to sustain or you can able to work or you can able to support any client. So when it comes to architecture, it talks about your instance and database. And instance is again combination of your memory structure and background process. And in the memory structure, you have HGA and PGA. In the background process, you have mandatory and non-mandatory. And in memory structure, you have HGA and PGA. Inside HGA, you have a buffer pool, you have a log buffer pool, you have a shared pool, you have a large pool, you have a Java pool, and you have a stream pool. And when it comes to background process, mandatory and non-mandatory, in mandatory you have SMON, PMON, DBRater, LogRater, checkpointer, and in non-mandatory background processor you have archiver, recoverer, job queue process, MON, MNLL, many of the non-mandatory background process. And when it comes to PGA, you have a stack space, you have a sort area, temp area, cursor area, and many more. And when it comes to the database part, that's our instant memory and background process. When it comes to the backend database part, you have a data files. You have a system, sysocs, undo, temp, user data files. And on top of that, you have a password file, SP file, P file, and you have alert log files, you have trace files, you have TRM files, and so many other files, redo logs, and the archive logs, and many more files. So that is your backend storage structure. So if you're able, I just given the name of those component, and each of those name has its own definition. It has own its function. You should be able to explain them. For example, SMON. SMON is for system monitor, which is responsible for your instance recovery in case of instance crash, which is going to do your recovery of the instance. Go roll forward and roll back. If the transaction is committed, you're going to go for roll forward. If the transaction is not committed, you're going to do a rollback. And the PMON, process monitor, which will monitor all the end user connections. If any user sessions are disconnected or terminated abnormally or network timeout, it will do the cleanup of those user session. If there's any resource held by that user session or any logs or anything held by those user session will be cleaned up. And same thing DB writer, which will write buffer content from the buffer cache, whatever the dirty buffers, the modified blocks from the buffer cache to data files. And again, this liberator writes in certain conditions. Whenever the checkpoint occurs, whenever this log buffer is full or one third full, or any data file goes offline, any table space goes offline just before your log writer writes. So there are many certain conditions. Liberator will write, same thing log writer will write, and same thing checkpointers will write. And again, coming to the memory structure, your HGA and PGA inside HGA shared pool has its own functionality. Your DB buffer cache has its own functionality. Your log buffer has its own purpose or functionality. Same thing, large pool, Java pool, stream pool has its own functionality. All those components will be part of your architecture. You should be able to explain them in details. Or anytime, whenever ask any questions around architecture, you should be able to answer them. You never ever forget this fundamental concept and think that you are getting forgetting all these concept or things. No, that is not the way how you remember, or that's not the way you can work as a DBA. As a DBA, the architecture is a fundamental, like a kind of a bread and butter. You should be able to remember these things forever. Then only you can able to work. For example, if somebody asked you, my export is taking more time, my RBAN backup is making more taking more time. The moment you say, moment day-to-day activities, whatever the activity you do, it is having issue and taking more time or whatever it is, it's all correlate to your fundamental architecture. So the moment you say export or your RMN job, all relate to your one of the memory component inside HGA. That's a large pool. Okay, is the my large pool is enough or sufficient? Will all connect to my fundamental architecture, what I understand, right? So that's why architecture is very, very important. So we'll spend more time on this architecture and then we'll explore more on this one, how select query works, how insert query works, how update query works, how your delete query works. So if the users run select star from employee where employee equal to 1, where that query will go, how that execution plan will be formed, how that optimizer will come into picture, and where my query is executed inside shared pool or inside my buffer cache, where my data will come, how the data flow will go. All will explain as part of this architecture itself here. Right, once we understand about the architecture, then we'll move in further about the management or the administration, starting and shutting off your databases. How I can shut down startup using a SRVCTL, using SQL plus command line. And then we'll understand about this backend storage files like control files, data files, read log files, arclog files, temp files, undo files, system data files, sysog data files, user data files. And at the same time, you have a password file, you have a SP file and P file, and we have a alert log, we have a trace files, TRM files, and you have diag files, diagnostic files, with all like backend storage. So we'll understand all of them. And at the same time, we'll go in detail about memory management. We have a automatic memory management and we have a automatic shared memory management. How can I automatically manage my SGA, manage my PGA, and what are the subcomponent inside SGA and PGA? Just explained inside SGA, shared pool, large pool, Java pool, stream pool, and DB buffer cache, log buffer cache, so many more. Again, inside PGA, your stack space, cursor area, sort area, bitmap area, bittree area, right? And the temp area. So all those will cover here. All those will be part of your architecture with the of management of all these components. How can I increase my HGA? How can I increase my PGA? How can I do automatic memory management, automatic shared memory management? How can I manage all these backend files, password file, SP file? All will be covered here in this management and administration. So again, further we go in depth some of the logical understanding where as a DBA we don't know, but inside database will think all the component in a logical structure. So whatever the data files we mentioned, those are the physical files. As a DBA, I can go to that location and I can see all those data files. But as a database, the database instance will understand the data files in a logical format. That data files will be represented as a table space. My database will understand in the form of table spaces. That table space will be having your data files. That table space is made up of segments, and those segments internally made up of extent. Those extents internally made up of data blocks. How these logical correlations will work? Data blocks, extent, segment, and those segments are part of the table space. Those table spaces are associated with your data files. As a DBA, physically, I can go and then see the physical data files. But as a database internally look at those data files into a logical structure as the blocks, extent, segment, and the table space. How can you manage those table spaces? There's a dictionary managed, locally managed. How can you manage those segment level or the extent level or the data block level? And how can you understand more on the segment and extents and the correlation between them and the data blocks and the different block sizes? 8K block size, 16K block size, 32K block size, 64K block size. This block size will define your data file size. If the block size is 8K, your data file size is 32 GB. If the block size is double of that, 16K, your data file size is 64K. So your block size directly correlate your data file size. So that correlation we can see it. And why that is the limitation? 32K, 32 GB or 64 GB, is that the maximum limitation? No, we do have a special kind of a table spaces called a big file table spaces. If you create a big file table spaces, you can create the larger data file like 32 terabyte or 64 terabyte. So all those correlation we can go in depth. Here we are not mentioned all those you know content like big file table space, small file table space, but as part of this course will be covered in depth on that. And then going forward, we'll start with the ASM architecture. As I just mentioned here, in this particular course, will be covered with this local file system database and your ASM database. So as a quick demo here, I already connected to two servers. If I get them here, right? This is my Oracle Lab 1 here. Oracle Lab 1, where I just started the database, where my DevDB is running. This DevDB is running under local file system. Local file system meaning it's a OS file system, meaning all my data files, everything will be reside under my local storage. And I do have a other lab here where I have this test database which is running under this ASM, where all the data files belong to this test database are residing under this ASM storage. So ASM is a storage. That's a different architecture. So we need to understand first that ASM architecture and how you can create your own ASM storage. Right, we'll start with this ASM architecture here. So what exactly ASM architecture, how it looks like, and why we need ASM. And again, ASM itself has its own the storage structure with the redundancies, external redundancy, normal redundancy, high redundancy, and then how can you log into ASM instance? How can you manage your ASM instance? How can you manage your ASM storage? Right, like let's say quickly that itself, how can you once you create your ASM storage with the external redundancy, normal redundancy, high redundancy, how can you manage them? How can you increase that space? How can you add a disk? How can you drop a disk? We'll go in depth in a net understanding about ASM. So as a quick demo here, right? Uh, so if I just check this one ASM, I want to connect to my ASM instance. So I'm gonna set the environment to .env. I'm gonna set my environment to plus ASM. So you can quickly verify your environment by running env. So I'm gonna say my environment will set to ASM and the grid home. So I can connect SQL plus slash as sys ASM. Remember here, to ASM, we'll connect it as sys ASM. And for the database, we'll connect SQL plus as a sys DBA. If you want to connect, you can use a sys DBA. If you want to connect, you can use sys ASM. That's gonna connect your ASM instance and you can manage your ASM instance over there. At the same times, I want to connect to ASM storage. I can use ASM CMD-P. So they're going to take you to ASM CMD, ASM command line, where you can manage your ASM storage. We have a ASM instance and ASM storage. We'll understand more both of them in this chapter number 9 and how can we manage those ASM instance and ASM storage. Right. And followed by very, very important topic here, chapter number 10. That's your multi-tenant architecture, CDBs and PDBs. Why it is very important? So, so far, let's say 11G, take it from 11G. Prior to 11G also it's the same architecture. 11G, 12C, 18C, and 19C. So in 11G, let's say it's a normal database architecture. In 12C, Oracle has came up with this normal database architecture remains as it is, and they came up with this multi-tenant architecture. They introduced the new architecture called multi-tenant architecture, which is nothing but CDB and PDB. When you install Oracle software in 12C, and while creation of database, you can choose what database you want it. Normal database you want it as per like a previous version, 11G, let's say 10G or 9i or 8i, 7i. So whatever the previous version, they all used to follow this normal database. In 12C, Oracle came up with this normal database as it is, and this new architecture they introduced. That's a multi-tenant architecture, which is nothing but CDB and PDB. At the time of database creation, you can choose which one you want to create. Normal as a database, you want to create as a normal database, or database you want to create it as a multi-tenant database. The same thing goes here as well. Normal database and multi-tenant database. In 19C also normal database, multi-tenant database. That will be only at the time of your database creation. You can choose which architecture you want to create your database, normal database or multi-tenant database. And after 19C, we have a 21C version. And here, no more normal database. It's all about multi-tenant database, CDB and PDB. Let's say imagine right now you are learning 19C. If you learned only this normal database architecture and you have not learned about multi-tenant architecture, and going forward in upcoming days, when it comes to 21C or 23C or 23 AI or 26 AI. So there are like another three more versions came in. If you learn any of these version, if you want to learn or if your organization want to upgrade your database from 19C, 20C, 19C to 23C or 23A, what happens? It's all about multi-tenant database. There's no normal database concept. How can I migrate this 19C normal database to 21C? That's not possible at all because 19C is only multi-tenant, where your database is normal database. There are challenges here. So what I'm trying to say here, as a DBA, how necessary it is to understand this multi-tenant architecture. What is this exactly multi-tenant architecture? Multi-tenant architecture is nothing but it's a combination of your CDBs and PDBs. CDB is a container database, PDB is a pluggable database. What is that architecture? How it looks like? How this multi-tenant architecture is different than the normal database architecture? What is new in this? So we'll understand all those CDBs and PDBs, how to connect to CDB, how to connect to PDB, and what are the components inside this multi-tenant architecture. How can I install those CDBs and PDBs? How can I clone the PDBs? How can I clone the CDBs? How can I migrate normal database to a multi-tenant database? So all will be covered in this chapter number 10, which is very, very important for the DBAs. So understanding of CDBs and PDBs and supporting and doing the export and import in CDB level, PDB level, connecting to CDB and PDB and creating users and managing users and administrating those CDBs and PDBs, very, very important. We'll cover here in this chapter number 10. Again, there will be a lot of things to do here. How the RMAN backup, restore, recovery works in terms of CDBs and PDBs. Many more things. We'll explore more here in the chapter number 10. Followed by chapter number 11 is about networking, meaning my listeners, TNS, my listener.ora file, TNS name.ora file, SQL net.ora file. How to connect to my database using SQL developer, how to connect to database using a Toad, and what are the different challenges, what is TNS ping, what is TNS admin, what is network configuration files, and then my connectivity is not working. All those will be explored here in this particular listener. So my listener is a static listener, dynamic listener. Listener registration is a static registration, dynamic registration. What is local listener and remote listener? And then how my database will get registered with the listener, how the end user is able to connect to my database with the help of listener, how the authentication will work with help of listener, and what is this listener.ora file, what is this tns name.ora file, what is this sqlnet.ora file. So all those things we'll explore more on this one. So this is one of the challenging topic here. Many of the DBAs in a every day, day in and day out, they will be getting a request that end users will be sending. I am not able to connect to my database. It says listener don't know services, listener TNS error, and my TNS ping is not working. What exactly meaning by this TNS ping? We'll explore more here on the networking side, that especially for the listeners and TNS. And what is the alias name in listener? What is the alias name in TNS? How can we connect with the remote connections, local connections? And again, in this chapter, it will gonna come up to the few topics like what is OS authentication, what is password file based authentication, and again, we'll talk about more on the password file. How can we recreate the password file? All of them here. Then chapter number 12 is user management. User permissions, role, privileges, and profiles. How to restrict the users. What are the privileges we can grant to the users? And we'll more understand about the user administration, user management, restricting the users. And there may be a questions in the interview. I have a user one. Can you create a user two and assign the same privileges of user one? How can we do that? Or there may be a request. Can you replicate this user one as a user 2 with the same privileges? First of all, how can we know what all the privileges this user has? Once you're able to know what all these privileges this user 1 has, likewise we can create a user 2 and then we can grant the same permissions. So this user 1 may be having system level privileges, or this user 1 may be having object level privileges, or this user 1 may be having roles. Remember, in database a user can have only three levels of privileges: system level, object level, or role. We'll be exploring more of all these system level privileges. What are the system level privileges? What are the object level privileges? What are the roles? And then how to extract for a particular user what all these privileges assigned. Once you're able to extract all this, and we can assign this all these privileges to this user too. How to get the metadata of this user one and to create this user two, empty user, and then assign these privileges. All those we can explore here in this chapter number 12, the user management. Right, and the same times, how can I assign the quota? Like, I can assign only 1 GB for this user. How can I assign the profiles? How can I assign the roles? Create a role and assign it. How can I assign the privileges, system level or object level? Right, and then we'll explore more on this one. And again, user comes at the CDB level and PDB level. When it comes to a CDB level and PDB level multi-tenant architecture, we call it as a local user and common user. So how to create a user at PDB level, how to create a CDB level, we'll explore more on that. In comparison with the normal database architecture, we'll do explore about the multi-tenant architecture as well at the user management. Chapter number 13 and 14 and 15, it's all about your backup and recovery. Your cold backup, hot backup, your manual backup, your RMAN backup, your level 0 backup, level 1 backup, your incremental, your full backup versus incremental backup. In incremental level 1, cumulative and differential backup. And again, in this backup itself, there are a lot of questions in the interview. What is your backup set? What is your image copies? What is your backup pieces? Right, and then also there will be a lot of questions around your retention policy of redundancy, retention policy of a recovery window, and at the same time there will be a lot of questions around this. What is absolute backup? What is expired backup? And also what is control file auto backup on and off? What is RMAN optimization on and off? What is your compression in the backup? What is your section size? What is your files per set? Right, and then what are the channels? What are auxiliary channels? What are RMAN channels? How can you allocate the channels? On what basis? Purely based upon the CPU. On what basis you can assign these channels? Two channels, four channels. And there will be a BCT, blockchain tracking, to improve your incremental backup. You can enable this BCT, blockchain tracking. This is one of your entry question. What is this BCT, blockchain tracking? Right, once you understand this backup, like your full backup, level 0 backup, level 1 backup, and cumulative and differential backup, and then the arclog backup, and the control file backup, SP file backup, and auto backup. Once you all these backups, how can I do a point in time recovery, point in time restore? When it comes to restore, there are multiple options. Restore from the backup, restore without backup, active database duplication, RMAN active database duplication, and RMAN restore and recovery or RMAN duplicate. What is the difference? Which one is the best one? Can I just use the restore database and recover database, or can I use ARM and duplicate database? Which scenario, what options I can use? How can I build my standby database with these backups, without backups? Both with backup and without backup. We will explore more on this one. Point in time restore. I want to restore my database exactly 9 a.m. I want to restore my database as of 10 p.m. So we'll explore more on that, how you can explore on these restore options, on the backup options in this chapter number 13, 14, and 15. Chapter number 16 is about patches. Very, very important. As a DBA, we will do once in our entire DBA experience. This patching is one of the common activity. Why this patching is one of the common activity? Let's imagine Oracle is going to release 4 times patches in a year. Jan, April, and July, and then October. These are the 4 patching cycles, and typically it varies from date 17 to 21 of that month. Jan 17 to 21, April 17 to 21, July 17 to 21, and October 17 to 21. I think this month is October. They already released it. Last Friday, they have released the latest patch. Once they release this latest patch, we have to apply it on Oracle Hub. Let's imagine I just explained about that path of installation. Let's say you have a server, lab 1. We'll install first Oracle Home. That's the software. Once you install Oracle Home, on top of that software, we'll create DB. My database, that database will be associated with the instance. We'll talk about that in our regular classes. What is this instance and what is this DB? Instance is the logical structure, which is a combination of, again, I explained it, memory and background process. And this database is the physical files, your system, sysocs, undo, and all those things. So what I wanted to tell you here, a server which will be having a software where we'll be installing the database software. That software, on top of that software, you will be running your database, and that database will be having an instance. Right now, we are talking about patches. Patches meaning it's a software. Wherever we install this software, Oracle software, on top of that software, we'll install these patches. Once we install these patches, and my database or the database instance will get all those bug fixes. What exactly mean by these patches? Patches are nothing but you're applying some extra software on top of already installed software. And then these patches are nothing but these are your bug fixes, enhancement, vulnerability fixes, and the new features. Oracle, whatever the end users reports, these are the bugs I hit. Oracle is going to fix them, and Oracle is going to release the patches, every quarterly patches. And if somebody asks you what are the patches, patches are nothing but these are the bug fixes, vulnerability fixes, and the security enhancement, new features, or product enhancements. We are going to apply these patches on top of the already installed Oracle software. Once we install this software, once we apply this patch, and whatever those new features or the bug fixes will be reflected inside your database. And then this is your simple definition. Patches are nothing but bug fixes or vulnerability fixes or the security fixes or the new enhancement or the new improvement or the product new updates. It's a must. As a DBA, we need to apply on top of that Oracle Home or Oracle software, whatever we installed. And Oracle has given a many names to that one. Oracle has given a name as a PSU patches, CPU patches, bundle patches, one-off patches, merge patches, interim patches, overlay patches, hot patches. Right? There are so many names they are given, but in single definition, patches are nothing but it's a small software. You're going to apply it on top of the Oracle Home or the ASM Home. So different types of patches we'll understand. The tool what we use is a OPatch tool. We have a OPatch or OPatch Auto. We'll explore more of that. What is OPatch? What is OPatch Auto? What are the advantages? And we have a rolling patching, non-rolling patching. In case of rack, we have rolling and non-rolling. We'll explore more on that rolling, non-rolling. And you can apply the patch in Oracle Home level, Grid Home level. You can apply the patch at the database level. So database level, we will apply using data patch. So those are your simple questions. When it comes to a patching, there are a lot of other concept like your inventory will come into picture. What is that inventory? We have a central inventory and local inventory. What is the central inventory? What is that local inventory? What exactly it contains? What happens if I don't have those central inventory and local inventory? Where are these patches are stored? Once I apply the patch, where they will be located? What happens if the central inventory or local inventory is corrupted? What are the tools I'm going to use it? OPatch versus OPatch Auto. How can I patch my Oracle home or the ASM home? How can I patch my database? Where those tools are available? Let's say I have ASM home, I have database home, I have database. ASM home, I can use the OPatch tool, and database home, I can use the same OPatch tool. And database, I have a data patch. So I can use these tools. These are called the tools OPatch, OPatch, and data patch. If I don't want to use the OPatch, I can use auto patch, OPatch auto. So we have OPatch to patch my ASM home and database home. That's a manual one. Manually you have to use that one. For the same ASM and database home, we have something called OPatch auto. Using that OPatch auto, I can patch my ASM home and database home. And what's the difference between this OPatch versus OPatch auto? We'll explore more in our regular classes. And data patch at for database level. So once you patch your ASM home and database home is not enough. You have to patch your database as well. You have to run this data patch. Once you patch this database using this data patch, whatever the patch you applied on ASM home and database home, those will be get reflected inside database. Right? Can I patch only database? No. Can I patch only database home and database? Yes, you can do it. You no need to patch your ASM. Can I patch only ASM home and no need to patch and database home? Yes, you can do that. But what is best practice? Always patch your ASM home, database home, and followed by your data patch at the database level. All three have to do it. Right? We'll explore more on this when it comes to a patching. That is the only must thing. Any DBA, they should be able to perform this patching activity once in their lifetime, because this is not a one-time activity, it's a regular activity. As I mentioned, Oracle is going to release 4 times in a patches. So as a DBA, any customer you're working, you'll be get a chance to work on this patching on regular basis. Right. Chapter number 19, database upgrade. Very, very important database upgrade. As I mentioned, if your database is running with 11G, 12C, 19C, 21C, 23 AI, 23C, 23 AI, 26 AI. If you want to upgrade your database, you have to understand how this upgrade works. What are the pre-checks? What are the post-checks? How can I do the database upgrade? And when it comes to database upgrade, we have an important concept called the restore point versus guarantee restore point, GRP, guarantee restore point. And once you start about talk about this restore point, guarantee restore point, then there's a concept comes flashback logs. What are these flashback logs? When the flashback logs comes, and the FRA will come into picture. What is this FRA? Earlier we used to call it as a fast recovery area, flashback recovery area. There are two naming convention. Earlier it's called a flashback recovery area. Nowadays we call it as a fast recovery area. So what is this FRA? How can I define my FRA? What is content on this FRA? In this FRA, you can put your redo logs, you can put your archive logs, you can put your flashback logs, you can put your control files and also backups. So how can I define that FRA? And that FRA is very, very important, which will impact your database upgrade. You have to tune that FRA sufficient size and then proceed with your database upgrade. So database upgrade, you can go with the silent method or you can go with the automatic method. So in the silent method, it's a manual one. So silent method, you can go with the option one using the SQL. Command line, you can upgrade your database. Silent method, you can go with the Perl script. Using a Perl script, Oracle provided Perl script, you can do your database upgrade. Or you can go with the shell script, again Oracle provided shell script. You can go with your database upgrade. All these are manual method. There will be a lot of pre-checks you have to do, a lot of post-checks you have to do after the upgrade. If you don't want to do all this manual work, everything can be done by Oracle. Go with the option 4 called GUI method, graphical user interface, with the GUI mode called my bad DBUA. DBUA is a database upgrade assistant. Run the DBUA. DBUA will take care of everything, all the pre-checks, all the post-checks, and fully automated one. And then in 19C, new feature, Oracle came up with a 19C new feature with a silent method. That's your option 5, auto upgrade. That's a 19C new feature. Prior to 19C, it was not there. Only 19C it came in. That's the auto upgrade. The name itself says auto. Whatever this manual method you should do, everything will be done automatically using this auto upgrade. Run the pre-checks and run the upgrade. Only 2 commands. So we have 5 methods. Whichever you are comfortable, you can go and then explore that. And again, in this upgrade process, we'll explore more on those GRP, flashback logs, and FRA, and then what are the pre-checks, post-checks. How can you take care of your upgrading CDBs and PDBs and normal database? And then how can you migrate your normal database to a CDB database or the PDB database or the multi-tenant database? So all will be explored here in this chapter number 17. That's for upgrade. And then a data guard. So in this data guard, we'll cover very in-depth understanding. What are the different types of standby databases? Physical standby, logical standby, snapshot standby. What are the different modes of your standby database? We have a maximum performance, maximum availability, and maximum protection. What are these definitions? Just a name is not enough. What are those definitions? How exactly they works? How exactly they different each other? We'll explore more on this. Database, standby database types, standby database modes, and then standby database architecture. There are various processes, your archive process, LNS process, your file server, file client, your RFS, remote file server, remote fetch server, and your MRP, media recovery process, your real-time apply and delayed apply. How the log shipping will work from primary to standby. How the logs will be received on the standby side. How the logs will be applied on the standby side. You can apply the logical change record LCR, or you can apply the directly using MRP, media recovery process. All those concepts will explain in depth here in the architecture part and different types and different modes. And then physically we can configure. You can configure a standby database with 5 to 6 methods using a RMAN backup, using a restore recover method, using your RMAN duplicate method, using your RMAN active database duplicate without backup, and you can configure your standby using a OEM. There are many ways, whichever you are comfortable. We'll explore more of those options, and whichever you are comfortable, you can use them. And then there are a lot of concept around this standby and production, like my FRA is full. What happens to my standby? My standby side password file is corrupted. Password file is missing. What happened to my DR sync? How to monitor the DR sync between the primary and standby? And in case of my DR goes out of sync, how can I make it sync back with production? Incremental backup, or in 12C we have a service based backup, service based sync. If your standby goes out of sync, you don't need to take any backup. Using a primary service, you can directly make it sync by running 2 or 3 commands. Or let's say my DR is out of sync, I need to make it sync. I did the sync, and tomorrow I want to do a switchover. What is this switchover? And I want to do a failover. What is this failover? I want to perform a DR drill activity. You might have heard any organization will do a DR drill. Let's say I have primary in New York, I have this is my primary database and this is my standby database, which is in London. So tomorrow I want to do a DR drill. I want to do a switchover activity, meaning the log shipping is happening right now from New York to London. Now I want to switch the role. Once I switch the role, this become primary. Your London database become primary. Your New York database becomes standby. Then the log shipping will happen in reverse direction. This is called your switchover activity or the DR drill activity. What is this failover? We have New York, a primary database, and we have London, a standby database. Log shipping is happening from primary to standby. The transactions are happening from New York to London. Let's say there's a disaster happens on the New York data center where my data center is located here. There's a earthquake or the fire or the flood, whatever the natural disaster happened, my data center is crashed. Then to rebuild my data center is going to take 1 month or 2 months. My business is going to be down. So I don't want to down my business. For that, whatever the London data center, I'll make it as a primary. And then my end users will start connecting to this new primary. Earlier, my end users are connected to New York data center for all the transactions. Since my New York data center is gone, now I rerouted my application to London data center where my applications will connect over there. This is your failover and this is your switchover or DR drill. So this is one of the common activity. We'll do that switchover, failover, and then there's a 19C, 12C new feature called verify command for the DR drill. For the switchover or DR drill activity, there's a verify command came in 12C that we can explore that. Right. So there main most of the DBA struggle on this DR setup and DR monitoring and maintenance. We'll explore more in depth and then do all hands-on activities here. Right. Followed by cell scripting. Again, this is one of the, I can say, bonus topic here, where I'll be covering some of the basics understanding of cell scripting. How can you write a cell script? And then we'll explore more on the some of the automation jobs. I can write on fly few automation like I want to monitor my listener, I want to monitor my instance, I want to monitor my database production and DR sync. And then once I write this cell script, how can I schedule them using a cron job? Again, if you are interested, you can learn more on the Python scripting. Nowadays, Python is very, very widely used. Try to explore, learn Python scripting and do automate your day-to-day activities. And then also I did some automation script to monitor my entire day-to-day activities. I'll be exploring those automation script in this cell scripting here. And also we'll explore that cron tab and how to schedule and understand those all the cron jobs. Right. And chapter number 20, export and import. Export and import for the logical objects like tables, schemas, table space, database. How can I do export? How can I do import? And then how can I improve my export and import performance? What are those exclude stats, exclude indexes, and what are those parallelism in the export and import? And then I started my export, which is impacting production. I want to stop or I want to pause that export. How can I do that? Maybe let's say I want to export table called T1, which is of let's say 100 GB. I did a export. The export job ran, which is copied 50 GB. Another 50 GB it has to copy, but my application team says my database is performing slow. Is there anything going on? I say my export is going on. My application team will say, can you stop that one? I want to stop that export job. Pause that export job. Once I stop it, after that I want to resume. It has to start from the 51 GB onwards. How can I do that? How can I pause my export for a period and once the application team is goes offline, then I can resume it. How can I do that export and import pause in the middle? There's an option you can do that. And how can I improve my export and import? How can I do a remote export from primary to development database? And somebody has dropped my table from production. How can I do a restore of the table? So we'll explore more on this real-time scenarios with the export and import and some of the improvement statistics and the parallelism in the export and import, how to estimate the size, how to estimate the time, how can I do a import. All those we'll explore in this export and import chapter number 20. Chapter number 21, again, new feature. As I mentioned, we'll cover 12C, 19C new feature. Again, if needed, we can add 21C and 23C or 23 AI or 26 AI. Few of the new features we can add it here. We can explore in the chapter number 11. So now here in this chapter 22, 23, 24, 25, this is all about the performance tuning. How to generate AWR report, ADDM report, ASH report, how to read them. My query is taking more time. Till yesterday it used to take 30 minutes and today it's running from 1 hour. My query used to take 10 minutes, today it's running from last 20 minutes. Or today it took 30 minutes. How can I read them? How can I read the execution plan? How can I check where is the bottleneck? Right? So by running the AWR report, you will be able to understand what is the execution plan. How can I generate the execution plan? How can I read that execution plan? Why my query is picking up the bad execution plan rather than the good execution plan? What are the criterias involved in that? I need to do a index rebuild. I need to do a gather stats. Index rebuild, you can go with online, you can go with offline. Which one is the better? Gather stats, gather stats at the table level, a schema level, right? And gather stats or entire database level. Which one is the best option? How can I do that one? How to generate this ADDM report, ASH report, and AWR report? How to read them? How to interpret them? And then what is my execution plan? How can I generate my execution plan and read that execution plan? What is the cost in the execution plan? Which one is the better one? And then what is this? My table has lot of fragmentation. What is this table fragmentation? How can I bring that? How can I remove that fragmentation? My high watermarks are fragmented, moved above. How can I bring it down? We have a lot of options called table move, table shrink. Again, it comes to table move, online table move, offline table move, table shrink. How can I compress my space? And then export import. All those options we'll explore here in this performance tuning. How can I check my database server is doing optimal speed? We have a lot of utilities in the database server side. The top command, vmstat command, iostat command, and your sor command, and your netstat, you have telnet ping, you have a packet trace like TCP dump, or you have a trace path, trace route. There's a lot of manual or the Linux level command to troubleshoot at the network side, troubleshoot at your OS side, and check anything going bad at your database side. What is your wait events in server side? What is your CPU idle time? What are your processes which are running it? So all those things you can understand in the as part of performance troubleshooting, OS side and the database side. We'll explore more here on the chapter number 22, 25, all about your performance tuning, reading AWR report, ASH report, ADDM report, and suggesting table move, table shrink, export import, rebuild index, gather stats. And then there's something called SQL profiling. My execution plan is always bad. My optimizer is always picking up bad execution plan. We need to force my optimizer to use a best execution plan using called SQL profile. So we'll explore more on those all those performance tuning. Again, those are whatever the needed as a DBA will be covered here. There's much more to cover on the performance tuning part. That's why I just mentioned there's a separate course we are coming up with performance tuning to go much more scenarios in advanced scenarios. But here as a DBA, whatever needed will be covered. And followed by chapter number 16 is resume writing and cover letter. I'll go over my own resume and cover letter. I'll explore and I'll show my resume and then what are the important points you need to incorporate inside your resume and cover letter. and you can follow the same format and you can update or boost your resume after completion of this course. And then the interview questions and answer, there will be thousands of interview questions and answers already written and uploaded into Google Drive. As and when we continue with the daily classes, will be covered with all the questions and answers. And again, at the same time, we'll be collecting all those questions in the Google Drive. You can refer that for the interview purpose. And also, we'll be conducting this mock interview. So you can go ahead and then register for the mock interview. I'll be, connecting with you one to one, and then I will take a real time kind of a scenario, real time kind of interview. And it's a worth you are attending this mock interview before attending any live interview so that you will be able to measure yourself how much you prepared and then how much you need to practice. That I will be giving a feedback after this mock interview. Right. Hope that is a very brilliant content, what I can say, because again, as I mentioned, it's based upon my real time experience as a DBA, what all needed will be covered. Again, there will be much more inside our regular topics. I have not mentioned over here. But if there's any topic you are looking at, you missed here, so we're happy to take those. You can always feel free to, feel free to use our WhatsApp group. Again, dedicated WhatsApp group for each student, each batch. You can give all those suggestions. I will be happy to include those topics. But there are certain topics I see many times. Many of my students used to ping me. Can you include OEM? Can you include Golden Gate? Those are it. OEM, Golden Gate, and those itself is a separate courses. Those are not like one day or one session, two sessions. You will be able to understand. Those itself is a separate courses. But some basics can be covered, but not in depth about that. All right. So I'll take a pause here. Hope everything is clear on the course curriculum, course content. Any questions so far? No questions. All good. All right. I'll take it as a no. Again, anytime you feel free to unmute, ask any questions here, or use a chat window here. I'll be taking those questions as and when I'm explaining here. Right. So I'll be just posting this uh, details in the chat here, Zoom chat. You can take a look, and also the course curriculum. I'll be posting it over here. You can take a look. Right. Now, once this is done, what next? Now, let's quickly. I'll just gonna put down here. Um, Give me a second here. Right. Very first thing. I'll just gonna put down all those points here. What all so far I covered. So I just covered a course curriculum. Hope that is all clear. I'm gonna ping that link here in the chat. You can take a look. I just briefly explained about the course curriculum. Hope that course curriculum is very vast and everyone are okay with that. Or any, again, as I mentioned, any comment on the course curriculum or any topic is missing, feel free to ping me. I'm happy to take those. And at the same time, I also did mention about the fee structures and the timings. So fee structures and timings I just mentioned here. Right? It's a weekday batch. Put down here. One more time, I'll just repeat it. This is a weekday batch, Monday and Tuesday, only 2 days in a week, and the 3 hours. Why earlier we used to take it 5 days and later came down to 3 days, and now we are coming down to 2 days because we need to accommodate that one more course, the performance training course. So we made it as a, instead of 1 hour, we made it as a 3 hours, and that took 2 days in a week. That covers around 6 hours in a week, and in a 7 weeks we should be able to complete this course. Right, Monday and Tuesday in IST, in EST it will be Sunday and Monday. 8:30 to 11:30, 3 hours. In EST, it will be 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. And 7 weeks, we should be able to complete. Again, This is a paid training, 10K Indian rupees or 125 US dollar will be conducted with over a Zoom session, live session on 19C version, Oracle 19C version. Right. And followed by, we have a dedicated WhatsApp group. So all the registered students will be added to this WhatsApp group. So that's only for the students who are registered for this course. And all the communications, all the details will be shared on this WhatsApp group. So any questions, queries will be using a single point of communication in the WhatsApp group so that it will be benefited to all the students who are part of this course. And then at the same times, there's a Google Drive access. I'll be sharing the Google Drive access to everyone, all the students who are registered. There will be a link one, which is a course material, and the link to the other information like interview questions, answers, the tools and softwares and other things. This course material will be having all the ready labs, VMs, all the PPTs, workbook, lab exercise, all will be here. And here will be all the interview questions and the softwares, other things. And at the same time, you'll be getting this a previous batch recording and the current batch recording. So current batch recording every day once we complete the sessions, I'll be uploading the recordings along with what the commands I'll be writing running in our my lab. All the commands and the content will be uploaded here. That's the current batch and the previous batch. So as a quick look here, if I take a look here, one thing. This is the course material, the first link. Right, this is the first link, the course material, where you have all the topics, all the PPTs, whatever the PPT I'll be referring, all those PPTs and the lab exercise, all those will be here. This is the PPT, what I'll be referring, and at the same time, so all the course materials, lab exercise will be here. That's your first link. And then the second link is other information. So other information is your all the softwares, all the interview questions, and the tools, whatever needed. So that will be here. Let's quickly get that link, second link as well here. I'll put down here. So this is my first link. All the course materials will be here. And the second link, all the other information like ISO images, automation scripts, interview questions, and the tools, whatever needed, all will be here in the second link. And the third link, previous batch recording, which is important. Previous batch recording, like, I want to study my own, I want to complete this course within a week. So you can go and then refer this previous batch recording. Those are the last batch what we completed. So those again the live classes, right? So this is your last batch link here. If I put down here, this is my last batch, last June what we completed. As I mentioned here, everyday sessions along with the notepad will be uploaded here. So if I just open any one of that, my RMAN backup, they can just open it and watch it here, or they can download locally or watch it over there. At the same time, when you are watching the recordings, you can refer the notepad. This notepad contain all the commands. Whatever command I am running it in my lab, all those commands will be uploaded here. While watching the recording, you can practice by your own. Right? That is your uh, previous batch recording and the current batch recording. Current batch recording again once we start this uh, from next week onwards, will be everyday sessions will be recorded and then uploaded along with this. As soon as the day session completed, I'll be uploading the sessions. Whenever who are not able to attend the course, you can watch the recordings. Maybe you can watch the previous batch recording or the current batch recording. Both are one and same. So again, as I mentioned, for the EST, the Eastern Time Zone, the US folks, it may be little late if you're not able to stretch. Uh, my best ways to you can watch the recordings on your convenient time, and then you can post your whatever the questions in our group. Likewise, you can, you know, up to speed, and then you will be in sync with me whatever I'm covering on daily basis. But if you're able to make it live classes, that's a fair enough. That's a good thing. Otherwise, we can go with these recordings. All right. And then other important points, the prerequisites. I already covered that prerequisites, the minimum requirement, which is very important. The prerequisites are must because if you don't have a hardware requirement, then you will not be able to do a hands-on. Once you are not able to do a hands-on, then you will not be able to be confident on those topics. Very, very important. You can take a look on these prerequisites. Right. And then, as I mentioned, this is a paid training, and the course fees is 10,000 Indian rupees or 125 US dollar. And we did get some students already registered. I know I need to add them into WhatsApp group. I'll add them into WhatsApp group who are registered and made a payment. Maybe by today or tomorrow I can make it. I can add them into WhatsApp group and I'll share the details. So again, post this today's session and tomorrow's session, if anyone would like to continue or want to enroll, feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number, and I'll be assisting you, or I'll be guiding you through this payment process. Right? This is my WhatsApp number or cell number. You can reach out to me any one of this. Right. Uh, Once this is done, I can cover two more topic, certifications, and then some of the database concepts. Maybe I'll have a few more minutes. I'll cover certifications, and tomorrow I can start with the some of the concept like database architecture, networking, Linux basics, rack concept, types of database, rack versus standalone. I can cover this maybe tomorrow. I can quickly talk about some of the certifications. Uh, there is a question in the chat here. Are we able to work with the AWS console? AWS console, yes. We can spin up your database on AWS, and you can start. Or else you can able to get the uh, AWS VM EC2 instance. Then you can install the database software over there. Or there's a service as well. There's the database as a service in AWS. You can spin up the service, database service itself, and you can practice all this concept. All right. Hope that's clear. Any questions so far? I'll take a pause here for a minute if anyone has any questions. All right. Right. Let's quickly talk about Oracle certifications. What exactly is Oracle certifications? Let's say um, standalone versus rack. So this concept what I'm tracking here. This is your standalone and this is your rack. This rack is a separate course. Standalone is what this course what we're teaching. For this standalone and rack, we have two separate course. One is this database course. The DBA course what we're talking about is a standalone. And we do have a other course called rack. That's for the rack database. Right, you have to go for this rack course separately if you want to learn more on this rack. This DBA course is for the standalone. Standalone is for your junior DBAs. Right, then for 5 to 10, 12 years, 15 years, a senior DBAs. If you are a senior DBA, you have to learn rack. Meaning, if you are having a 5 and above years of experience, rack is must. You have to learn rack. If you don't know rack, then you will not get any job openings or opportunities if you are having more than 5 years of experience. 1 to 4 years of experience, you can work as a junior DBA even if you don't know rack with a standalone concept understanding, that's fair enough. You can work. Like I'm a DBA having 1 to 4 years of experience, then I'm not getting interview calls. I'm not getting much opportunities. That is because you have not completed your certifications. As a DBA certifications for the standalone, you have to complete 2 certificate. If you are a DBA 1 to 4 years of experience, you have to complete the standalone database certificate. That's the 19C OCP certificate. We have 1Z0082, 1Z0083, 19C admin 1, 19C admin 2. Approximately it costs 20K. You have to complete this OCP certificate, then your resume will get highest weightage and you can get a job easily. And you're having 5 years of experience, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. I'm not getting any interview calls because you have not completed your certificate. You have to complete this rack certificate 1Z0078. That's a 19C Oracle rack, which is again cost you 20K. Right? So whether you are a junior DBA, whether you are a senior DBA, you're not getting interview calls. That's because of this. You have not done certificate. Never got interview calls. I applied for multiple positions openings, but I'm not getting any interview calls. That is because your resume is not strong. When your resume will become strong, when you have these Oracle certifications. What all certificates you should have? If you are a junior DBA, you should have this 19C OCP certificate. If you are a senior DBA, you should have this RAC certificate. On top of that, there are many other certificates. Your Oracle EBS app certificate, your OEM certificate, your Golden Gate certificate, your performance tuning certificate. There are many other certificates by Oracle, but as a basics, you should have this certificate. Whether you work on EBS apps, whether you work on Exadata, whether you work on OEM, whether you work on Golden Gate, all those has to work on either standalone database or rack database. Any customer, they have to run their business either on standalone database or rack database. So if you're working as a junior DBA, you have to understand standalone database and architecture, other stuff. If you're working as a senior DBA, you have to understand this rack. Once you know the standalone rack, then you need to complete this certificate, 19C OCP certificate and rack certificate. Once you have this certificate and mention this certificate in your resume will be having a highest weightage. And you apply for any job opportunities, your resume will be get shortlisted. Your resume will be very, very strong after the certificates. Right? That is your important aspect. Once you're able to complete this database course, you should be able to complete this OCP certificates 1Z0082, 83. These 2 certificates you should be able to complete after this completion of this database course, which is important. This certificate will give you weightage on your resume. That's why you need to complete this certificate after completion of this course. All right. Hope that is fine. Now let's continue on the few of the topic. Any questions, guys, here so far on the certification part or the
Yeah,
payment method?
yeah. Hi Malik, Venkat here.
Hey, Venkat, yes, please.
Yeah. Actually, I saw like next month you are going to start a rack also, right?
Right.
So now we started this DB course. Can we join that also simultaneously or
Yeah, good
after DB?
question. Yeah, good question. I'll come to that point. Okay, now Venkat is asking, let's say I'll go to here. Uh, Today we are starting this database course. That's gonna go for next 7 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks. And November 6th, I'll be starting the rack course. Again, that will also go for around 7 weeks. Uh, Once I'm continuing this database course, can I enroll this rack course as well? So my request is, are you a DBA? Are you already working as a Oracle DBA and you know already fundamental concept of database? I'm already working and I'm having 1 year, 4 years, or 5 years, 6 years of experience. I know fundamentals of database and all. That is where you can enroll this rack course parallelly and you can able to catch it up. If you are a DBA, you're already working and you know the concepts, and then you can go for enrolling the rack course parallelly. You can able to handle both. If you are a new, I don't know anything, and I'm a fresher, I just completed my graduation, or I'm already working as a you know in some other domain, I want to switch to DBA domain, I don't know anything at database side, then my suggestion is to not to go for rack as of now. You just complete your database course first, and then you can go for the rack course. Again, I'll be starting once this batch completes. I'll be starting a new batch. You can enroll for that. But for the freshers or the newcomers, no, don't go for rack parallelly. First, go for database. But for the experienced guys who already have a experience, then go for rack course, which is starting in November 6.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Right, so that is about what we covered. I can quickly glance one more time. Course curriculum. Again, go back to this uh, database training course curriculum. You can take a look one more time. Here is the link already I opened. Again, any suggestions, feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number. I'll review them and then I can take all your suggestions. And the course curriculum and fee structure I just explained. Again, 2 days. Remember, this is the 2 days only, Monday and Tuesday, and the 3 hours each day, 6 hours in a week, 7 weeks. And 19C version will be conducted over a live Zoom session, and the course fees is 10,000 Indian rupees. Again, just mentioned WhatsApp group. All the registered students will be part of this WhatsApp group. I'll be creating a WhatsApp group tonight, and I'll be adding all of them. The guys who are already registered, please stand by. I'll add you to WhatsApp group by today or tomorrow. And the Google Drive I just showed you. So again, here one quick advantage is here, right? I just mentioned for the experienced guys can join the database and rack course parallelly. There may be a questions like yesterday one guy pinged me. I am impacted with the layoff. I'm already having experience in database and I'm already having experience in rack. But I want to brush up the things. And I'm attending some interview. I'm getting some interview calls. I want to brush up my things. I want to attend the database and rack training, but I don't have a time to uh, wait for 7 weeks or 8 weeks. How can you help me? Then I said, boss, like if you are already experienced and you know the concept and you're ready to learn your own, go ahead and then register for my database course and rack course. I'll be adding you to WhatsApp group and both the database and rack WhatsApp group. And I'll be granting access on the Google Drive where you can see the current batch and the previous batch according. And since you already know the concept of database and rack, you can go and then watch all the database recordings as I just showed you here, right? You can go and then watch these all the recordings here. These are the recordings. You can go and then watch all of them. Complete this entire database course within 2 or 3 days or within a week. And the same time, I'll be granting you access on the rack course once you register for the rack training. And then you can go and then watch the recordings and then you can practice by your own and you can complete the rack course within a week. So within 1 or 2 weeks you can complete both database course and rack course. And then while watching the recordings, if you have any questions, queries, you'll be part of the WhatsApp group. You can post any questions or queries over there, or you can ping me one to one. I can assist you and I can guide you. And again, at the same time, as I mentioned for the EST guys is the late night for them. If they're not able to catch up the things, they can early 1 hour they can attend, or maybe it's 11 to 12 hours, 12 o'clock they can attend, and later if they can't able to manage, they can go for sleep, and then whenever their convenient time, they can watch the recordings, either the current batch and the previous batch recording, and they can study by their own. And any questions or queries, again, use a WhatsApp group or ping me one to one. I can assist them. Right, that's a fundamental concept. That's where why I am providing the previous batch recordings. Again, I did seen let's say a couple of questions I got. Uh, how long this WhatsApp group will be active? How long this Google Drive link will be accessed? So this Google Drive link are lifetime accessible. You can watch anytime, any day, no restriction. I'll not be revoking anything. And also there's no restriction. If you want to download, you can go and then download it locally. You can store it on your own local drive, no issues, no restrictions. Right. So those are lifetime accessible Google Drive, and again WhatsApp group also will be accessible, provided if you keep it active and you keep posting the questions, queries. I'll be keep answering them. Those are like until unless the group is active, will be kept active. If nobody is active, then it will be removed. But Google Drive will be lifetime accessible, no worries. Again, there's no restriction, even you can download it locally onto your laptop. All right. With that is clear, go what we covered just WhatsApp group, Google Drive, and the minimum requirement I just covered. Again, go over there. Anyone can attend this course with a 1 year experience, with a 0 experience, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. Anyone can attend. But if you know the basics of Linux, Windows, SQLs, which is the added advantages, otherwise it will be very difficult for the first few days, and later you have to put some effort and learn this concept. And also we have already some basics on Windows, basics on Linux and SQLs and our Google Drive. You can go and then watch those documents and then be up to date. And the hardware requirement also must. You should have minimum 10 GB and 100 GB SSD to do a lab setup. And then the payment method, you can feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number or call me. I can clarify on the payment method. I'll guide you to the processing, the payment process. All right. With that, I'll continue with a few fundamental topics for next few minutes, another 10-15 minutes. I'll take a pause here if anyone has any questions. Any questions so far?
Hi, Malik sir. How,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
name
go
is
ahead.
Bala. I was your previous batch in 2024.
Right.
I want to join again. Can
Yeah, I'll do that. You can ping me
okay?
my WhatsApp number.
Yeah,
You
sure.
can take a look.
Mm.
All right. Again, this is one of the concept, right? Like, if anyone join this course and if they are not able to continue the course and due to some health issues or some emergency, they dropped in the middle. And can I re-enroll in upcoming days? Yes, whenever I start a new batch, you can feel free to ping me or connect with me over a call and then provide a justification why you are not able to connect and why you want to connect and what is the missing topics. And then after discussing with me, I can allow them to join the next upcoming batch and then they can brush up their own by watching the recordings or they can attend the live sessions and I can allow them. I'll not restrict anyone to you attended one time and then you no need to attend next time. No, nothing like that. You can join the course, you can attend one time, two time, and you did not complete it last time and you want to enroll one more time. Or I want to brush up, I want to attend one more time. I can talk to me one to one and then once I allow them, you will be part of the course and then you'll continue with that. You no need to pay any extra amount on that. And that is one flexibility I always used to give all the students. All right. With that, let's quickly talk about one or two topics for today, and then tomorrow we'll continue with the further topics as I mentioned here. Very first thing, uh, database versus rack, a DBA versus rack, or standalone versus rack. It will be other way around. Standalone versus rack, or DBA versus rack. What exactly mean by this? So here in this DBA course, we'll be covering the standalone database. And this standalone database has a two types of databases: standalone without ASM, standalone with ASM. Two types of databases. I already showed here in the lab, right? Lab one, where my DBA is running on the OS file system, that is without ASM. That's Oracle Lab one, DB. DB is running under OS file system. And we have other one, standalone with ASM. That's the lab two. Here is my lab two, where my database running on ASM. Test DB is running on ASM file system. We call it as the Oracle restart. We'll explain more in this further course. But now question here is, what is this ASM? ASM is also part of this course. Automatic storage management provided by Oracle. It's a storage. Test DB is running on ASM file system, ASM storage. Here DB is running under OS file system, that local OS operating system file system. And if you go and then look at my, where is that one? Here, okay. So we do have that separate chapter on the ASM. We'll cover everything on the ASM storage, everything, all those concept here. Right, that is a simple understanding what we cover in this particular database course. That's a standalone database. And then we do have the other course, the rack course. Rack course will be covered rack database. We do have rack database and rack one node database. So now let's quickly compare here. Lab 1, lab 2. Give me 1 second, guys. Great. I'll just go one step above. Again, some basics here. So I logged into this lab 1. I logged into this lab 2. I logged in with the root user. Now I just mentioned few minutes back, right? Any server, first we'll install Oracle Home, Oracle software or Oracle software. On top of this Oracle software, we create a database. For this Oracle software, who has installed that Oracle software? Oracle Home. First, we need to understand that. The very first thing I'll just do ps-f grep smon, pmon, db data any one of the background process, I'll check it. By doing this ps-f grep smon, I can see DB database or the DB database instance. Who has installed this one? We'll look at this user. Oracle has installed. In a real-time client environment, if you go, you can see oraprod, orauat, oradev, Oracle, or grid, Oragrid. It may be anyone. You have to first understand who is the software owner, with which user you install that software, and with which user you created the database. You need to understand that first and log into that. From the root user, I'll do this. SU meaning switch user to that Oracle user. Logged in here. Now you are into Oracle user. Once you logged into Oracle user, now I want to connect to this DBDB. To connect to the DBDB, I want to run this .orinv. I want to run this dot space orinv. That's going to ask you what is your Oracle SID, Oracle instance ID. So that will be my DBDB is my instance ID. After running the DBDB, you need to verify whether you are connected to correct environment or not. env grep ora. That will tell you, okay, your SID is correct. Your Oracle base and Oracle software. Again, what is Oracle base, Oracle software? Oracle software or Oracle home is one and same. We'll cover in our regular classes. You have to verify this by running this env grep ora. Your SID base and Oracle home should be set properly. After that, we can use SQL plus /s sysdba. That will be connected to your SQL. For that, a DB database instance. Same way here on lab 2. Again, run the ps-f grep smon to understand who is the owner. My ASM installed by Oracle. My test database installed by Oracle. You may see some environment. My ASM is installed by Grid. My database is installed by Oracle. So you need to understand which database or which ASM you want to connect. I want to connect to ASM here, or I want to connect to database here. I want to connect to database here. I need to log into the respective owner. Switch user Oracle. Now into Oracle user. Again, I want to connect to database. Run this .orinv and provide this test DB. And again, verify env grep ora test DB Oracle base Oracle home. And then run the same SQL plus SSDBA. That's going to connect to SQL command. Now here you connected to DB database, which is running under OS file system. Here you connected to test database, which is running under ASM file system. Right, standalone without ASM. And DB you connected to database, which is running under OS file system. On lab 2, test DB you connected, which is running under ASM file system. So I can quickly see select name from VDollar data file. Again, this is all VDollar data file, the select queries. Once you continue with our database course, you'll understand more. So now you can see U01 app, Oracle, Oradata, DB data file. This is the local path, OS file system path. There you can see system, sysocs, undo user. Again, these are the data files. We'll explain more in our architecture part. What is the system data file, sysocs, undo user. Now the point is, I want to show this local file system. I can exit. I can go into this location, cd. Cd is a change directory. Go into this directory, do ls-ltr. LS is the list files. These are the files, whatever we are seeing here. These are the files belongs to my Dev database. This is a local file system. Anything start with a slash here, that's a local file system. Now the same command I can run it here in the test database. Same system sysocs undo user for the test database, which start with the plus data, meaning this is your ASM storage. Anything start with a slash, that's a OS file system, local file system. Anything start with a plus, that's your ASM file system, ASM storage. What I mentioned here, ASM is the automatic storage management provided by Oracle. Now if I exit and I copy this path, and if I try to connect, no, no such a file or directory. It's not a directory, it's not a path, because that's a ASM storage. Only ASM can understand. Whatever you say plus ASM, only ASM can understand. Right, so this ASM has ASM instance and storage. This automatic storage management provided by Oracle has a two concept here. One is the instance and the other one is the storage. How to connect to ASM instance? Same way. How to connect to database here? I did this ps-f grep smon. I understand who is the owner for my database, Oracle. Here, who is the owner for ASM? Oracle. I need to log into Oracle, SC Oracle. And then I need to run this .orinv. Instead of database here, I need to connect to plus ASM. Right now here, I already connected to Oracle user. I will gonna run this .orinv. And now I'm gonna pass that plus ASM. Now I'll run the same env command. Env grep ora. That will be plus ASM. Oracle base and Oracle home. Oracle home, you can see it's a grid home, ASM home here. Earlier it was a database home. It was U01 app Oracle product 19C DB home. Now it become a grid home, U01 app 19C grid. That's a grid software. We'll talk about in our regular classes. Now you can verify this one. And for the database, we connected as SQL plus slash as sysdba. For ASM, we'll connect SQL plus slash as sysASM. It will be a sysASM which will connect your ASM instance. So I can describe $ASM a disk group, or I don't want to do anything here. So after connecting to this ASM instance, you can do a lot of activity at the ASM instance level. This is one way how you can connect your ASM instance and to manage that ASM instance. Managing ASM instance, we'll talk about more in our regular classes. Now I want to go to ASM storage. Here I found out all the DB database files, and I simply did the CD into that location and I'm able to see all the data files. But on the ASM storage side, I'm trying to do CD, but it's not going to go into that CD because ASM is not a local file system. It's a special file system provided by Oracle. To connect to that ASM, I need to run ASM cmd-p. That's going to go into your ASM command line. In this ASM command line, you can do the CD. CD into this directory, it will want to take you to that ASM directory. See, now you are into this directory. Now you can do LSF and LTR. You can see all the same data files, whatever listed in the database. So we'll explore more on that. When you continue with our regular classes, we'll explore more on this ASM side, database side. But this is a simple definition or difference. Database without ASM and database with ASM. And again, database with ASM has a lot of advantages. Oracle strongly recommend run your database with the ASM storage management because ASM has its own advantages. And we call that as a Oracle restart server. What is that Oracle restart server? One advantage is what I can show here. Let's say I'll log out from here. ps-ef grep smon, ps-ef grep smon. So now my dev database running here, lab 1, my test database running here and lab 2. In the midnight, let's say around 12 o'clock or 1 a.m. in the midnight, my Oracle lab 1 rebooted. My Oracle lab 2 got rebooted. After 10 minutes or 20 minutes, my lab 1 came back online, lab 2 also came back online. Or that's one scenario. or there's a scenario due to some network issue, due to some OS corruption issue, or some file system corruption issue, or whatever reason, this database got killed. My database instance got killed. My DB, this is the process ID, I killed it. My database went down in the midnight 1 o'clock. Right? No DB here. PSIFNAP SMO, no DB, nothing listing here. At the same time here, my test DB also, the instance got corrupted or killed in the midnight 1 o'clock. S1, now only ASM. What happens here? This ASM has a smart, intelligent mechanism. This ASM will try to keep checking the database instance. Is the database instance is up? If that is not up, it's going to bring it up. Auto restart. That's what we call this as a Oracle restart. Oracle restart meaning whenever your database goes down, a database instance goes down with a crash or the abnormal shutdown, your ASM will bring it back online. Whereas my DB, it will never come online. We have to manually start it because there's nothing monitoring mechanism or there's nothing. You have to write your shell script and or Python script, keep monitoring this database for every 5 minutes. If this goes down, you have to bring it up manually, like running the startup command. Let's imagine if it's a midnight around 1 o'clock happened. For the DB, you have to get up and you have to manually start it like startup command. But whereas test DB, you don't need to worry. ASM will take care of that. Even ASM goes down, there's a HAS process which will bring it up automatically. That's where we call it as a Oracle restart server. This is one of the advantages. And the few others are advantages. If your database is running under ASM, there will be other advantages like anything read and write in ASM, which will be much more faster. And also we have redundancies, external, normal, high, mirroring, striping. Those are different advantages when you run your database on ASM storage. Right, hope that's clear now. What's the difference between the standalone database, standalone without ASM and standalone with ASM? Right, in the other course, we'll be continuing with the rack. So let's say rack database is a multiple, it's a clustering. You have a lab 1, lab 2, lab 3, lab 4. Let's say a quick example if I want to give. Let's say for the rack database also rack 1 node. Let's say I have, you have ASM1, ASM2, ASM3, ASM4. You have, let's say, test database instance 1, test database instance 2, test database instance 3, test database instance 4. You have 4 instances, but all of these 4 instances are running to single database here. Let's say you have lab 2, you have ASM and your test database, and this test database is running with the test database here. Let's say here 4 users want to connect. All the 4 users will connect here and they access the database. Here the 4 users want to connect. In case of rack, 1 user will connect here, 1 user will connect here, 1 user will connect here, 1 user will connect here. So you have 4 servers, all the 4 users are connected. Here this server, let's say, used only 10%. Here this server is used 10%. This server is 10%. This server is 10%. Here in this case, the server used 40% because all the 4 users are connected to one single server and doing the transaction. This server is heavily used here because one single server used 40%. Here, the 4 users are connected across 4 servers. They're doing the transactions. The servers are utilizing only 10%. So the load is distributed here in case of rack. In case of standalone, will be one single instance. Let's say in case of this instance goes down, all these 4 user sessions will be killed. In case of here, this server goes down, whatever this user one connected, he will be connected to server 2 or server 3 or server 4. That's called your failover. If any server goes down, the connected user will be automatically failed over to your any other servers. Load balancing, failover, and some other features. The HA, high availability, load balancing, and failover, and so many other advantages are part of your rack. And rack 1 node is, let's say I want to run only T1 database here. I don't want to run any other instance. That's your rack 1 node. I want to run only one instance. If this T1 instance goes down, let's start your T2. That will be like T1 underscore 1, T underscore 2, and T underscore 3, and T underscore 4. Like 4 instance will be there, but only one instance will be up and running in rack 1 node. If that right now that T underscore 1 is running here, if that server goes down, T underscore 2 will get started, or T underscore 3 will be get started, or T underscore 4 will be get started. That's the concept of rack 1 node. Rack 1 node meaning only one instance will be up and running, remaining 3 will be shut down. If that one which is running goes down, automatically other instance will be get started. Otherwise, it's the same as Rack database. Whatever the Rack database, all the instance will be up and running on all the nodes. In case of Rack 1 node, only one instance will be up and running, remaining all 3 will be down. So why Rack and Rack 1 node? Rack 1 node has a less cheaper license compared to Rack database. So otherwise, you can go with the Rack database. Rack has a more advantages than the Rack 1 node. But if you are worrying about licensing and very less critical database, then go with the Rack 1 node where the licensing cost will be less and which will be running on only one node in the Rack system. Right. So this Rack and Rack 1 node will be part of my Rack course, and this is Lab 1 and Lab 2 dev and test will be part of my database course. Will be covered more in this upcoming classes. All right. With that, I'm gonna pause here. I'll break here today. Tomorrow we'll continue with the architecture, some networking, and right now what I talked about this type of databases. Tomorrow we'll start with this architecture and other stuff. All right, guys. Any other questions before we stop it for today? Anything? So far, so good. Or any questions? Feel free to ping me on my WhatsApp number. I'll assist you further on this.
Hello, sir. My name is Arun. I also joined your previous batch.
All right.
Actually, I joined this session very late. Sorry for that. At 10 a.m. today.
Yeah, got it.
So I want to take the recording for this session.
I'll do that one. Just now, I think Bala also mentioned the same thing. Yeah, you can ping me on my WhatsApp number.
And
I'll do that.
also, I can learn once again your batches that is coming.
Right. That's correct.
I want to ask you, then can I join the classes with the Zoom link?
Yeah, you can do
After?
that. You can do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. All right, guys. Let's break it now. I will continue tomorrow. Tomorrow, let's continue few more topics, and we'll see. Next week onwards, we'll continue with the regular classes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.